Hi guys and girls, I'm Jazzy J.
And I'm Special K.
And on this month's podcast we had the chance to chat to actor, writer, director, drummer, professional body piercer and fellow martial artist Baz Black.
And can we just say, considering how much Baz had on, that he'd make the time for the two of us and share his experiences really meant a lot. And just further proof of how cool the guy really is.
No pressure.
Alright, come on. Baz, how's it going? Thanks very much for coming on our show today. It's great to have you here. It's actually unbelievable to have you here.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.
We have a couple of questions we'd love to ask. We have a lot of questions we'd love to ask you, but that'd probably be a two-part episode. But again, it's a real honour for us for you to be here today, so we really appreciate it. So, Jay, just if you had a couple of questions, you could start us off.
Starting off, Baz, just wondering, obviously you love martial arts and all that, I was just wondering where did it all start for you, and can you tell us a bit about your journey through martial arts and what it done for you?
Yeah, so martial arts, it was really my dad. He had a karate club in Navan, and so I started at a very young age with him, training bits and pieces as much as I could, and then I progressed into boxing. And I was boxing, and started boxing at the age of about 12, I think. And then did a bit of kickboxing, and then it was jiu-jitsu when I was 14. Was my main martial arts, yeah. And I was definitely like a bit of a fucking tearaway when I was younger, in my teenage years, a lot of aggression and stuff like that. And the boxing kind of fed into that. It was kind of a bad environment for kids. It was promoting aggression, you know. And it was the complete opposite with jiu-jitsu then, you know. It was if you're caught fighting outside the club, you're out of the club, that kind of threat and the respect. And I was fascinated with the samurai and the Japanese, you know, and the respect element and the traditions they had and stuff like that. So yeah, it definitely was a positive step to calm me down a little bit.
And was this traditional jiu-jitsu?
It was, yeah. It was like, so it was Jiu-Jitsu Ireland, and most of the lads in the club were all doormen or worked in guards and stuff like that. So it was very much, it wasn't like the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu much at all. Now we obviously did all the ground fighting and stuff like that, but it was more like Krav Maga. Like it was, you know, it
tricks
was
and throws and
self-defense and vicious kind of. It was known as a really tough club, you know. And I went on then to be on the European Jiu-Jitsu team with those guys, and I remember us showing up in Italy for one of the tournaments, and the guys were like, lads, where's your gear? We were like, what gear? There was no gear. It was just balls, and it was fairly full contact, and it was just a tough club. But I never really like associated as a tough club. That's just the way it was, you know. But yeah, it was a lot of kind of hardcore guys, lovely guys, loved training with them and everything. But it was a tough club, and it was more the kind of door work, kind of self-defense side of things, you know.
Right. Minimum movement and get people away.
Exactly. Break bones, knock them out as quick as you can, like, you know.
Take as little damage for yourself.
Exactly. And it was more that side of it. And then there was the sparring and the groundwork, and we did all that as well. And that's especially when we went into the European competitions and stuff. We did a lot more of that side of things. But yeah, there was some really really tough cookies. Joe Hughes, like, he was a 6-dan black belt sensei, and he was just like absolute loveliest guy in the world. But my God, that man he had to stop doing the door because he couldn't not break somebody's arm or bone. He just
grabbed you, and that was it.
He's just like one of those. And his brother actually was an animal who never trained at the club, and he was on the European Jiu-Jitsu team, and he won every fucking match, and he didn't like. Like, he was just one of those born fighters, like absolute animal. Now he would come down every now and again and do some sparring, and everyone's terrified of him. Like, he just rock up in the tournament, and he just killed the guy.
Just a complete natural.
It was a fun time. But then I progressed, and I ended up teaching in 3 of the clubs then. And I was training at one point like six days a week, just full on, you know, obsessed with it. A lot of
life at that time.
Yeah, it was really obsessive. But a lot of injuries, and because I was a drummer, always, you know, in bits, and then showing up to work, you know, yourselves with like you know, so yeah, it was tough going. But yeah, it was definitely helped calm me down a good bit.
And do you still practice jiu-jitsu, Baz, or do you have time?
No, not really. Just my own things that I do myself. You know, I have a little Japanese lodge down the back of the garden, and you know, so I just keep myself going with that. I did float back in the teaching role a good few years ago when the teams were getting ready to go out for competitions and stuff like that. But no, as regards the training side of it, see, I'm a very obsessive person, and I know if I went back, it would be all or nothing. I couldn't just float in.
You wouldn't have to.
know,
You have
no,
to. You have to fully commit.
Yeah, and I'm just so busy with everything else, you know. But I'm lucky that I get to do a bit of it in the movie roles, and it's helped so much with movie roles having that experience, you know. And even the choreography side of things that are not predominantly martial arts, it's brilliant.
You have to break things down.
Break things down, yeah. And there's so much people don't like realize with filming. There's so much blocking, you know. Whereas you have to hit your mark, you know, standing there, and your timing has to be really good. So I feel like the martial arts has really helped with that side, because you see a lot of people kind of struggling with their, you know, awareness and coordination, or like for continuity. Like if I do that in a scene, you better make sure that I fucking do that again every single take, you know, and
perfectly on that same
spot at the same time, you know. So yeah, I just feel the martial arts has kind of benefited that way as well.
And how long did you teach for?
So, I mean, one thing I'll say with this podcast, my dates and times are horrific. my wife would be like, no, what are you talking about? That wasn't 10 years ago, that was, you know. So, like, I started when I was 14, and I was in that club until I was 23. So, as far as I recall, the teaching side of it was from when I was about 20 onwards. So, yeah, about 3 years floating back and forth. And it was just kind of a thing that if you're there and you progress, I don't know if it's the same with you guys, but you know, you just go into that role.
You naturally become
naturally
well, you start helping in the class with like people who are starting off, and then you kind of go off
progresses
on your
up
own.
to that, And then I was training as a fitness instructor as well at the time, and so I would always take the, you know, the cardio and the warm up side, and they fucking hated me. Yeah, it was pretty hardcore.
But you're able to probably bring something new to the warm up and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Because like traditional martial arts, like traditional jiu-jitsu, you know what you're getting a lot of the nights, you know, when you go. So the fact that you were doing fitness instructor, you probably have to mix up the warm up and the approach to training.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I was a bastard. I'd be getting them because it was in one of the dojos was in an old church, and there was this massive spiral stairs. So I would get them over their shoulder, up and down the stairs, like carrying someone up and down, and all this mad shit. So they really hated me. You know?
That's hardcore. That's army stuff.
Jay, huh?
Class, and so as you say, you do a bit still every now and again, maybe to just like
just to keep sharp, I kind of
just for yourself really as well, more than that.
And then my friend is a personal trainer, and she has her own gym, but it's actually part of a boxing gym as well. So I've access to that to go in and just do, you know,
it's great
stuff. Whenever I can, and it's great just to clear the head and do a little bit.
Completely resets the brain, like, you
definitely.
Like that's seriously cool, Baz. I mean, you never. What would you say? You never really hear somebody that like tries this and this too much. It's usually like they tried one or two things and that's it. Like they're stuck to that kind of modality and stuff like that. I would have been very like yourself, boxing and kickboxing, and then something more traditional and stuff like that. And it does. It gives you a good flavour of everything.
Definitely, and you kind of know what works for you and what doesn't. And just when I joined jiu-jitsu, it was a bit of everything because it encompassed so many different things, you know. And like jiu-jitsu now has just gone like 95% Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you know. It really has that flip side of it, and that wasn't our club at all. And that's, to me anyway, it just seems to be kind of dying out a lot, and the MMA kind of crossover coming in. I don't know how you feel about that, if that's what you think as well, or
It's me. I love the traditional stuff, as I'm sure you do, but maybe that's because like our parents as well. Like, they don't make music like they used to anymore.
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Maybe it's a thing like that. But as regards keeping the kids and stuff like that, and as the sport progresses, you have to progress.
Yeah.
But if it was up to me, it's up to us really. We kind of try and find a blend of 50-50. Okay, so that old stuff is cool and we like it, and there's loads of stuff that's good for your mind, good for your coordination, and gradual build up exercise and stuff. But as regards keeping a teenager's attention or making it attractive to practical competition, you have to find a blend now as well. Like of athletics, as well as the traditional, as well as techniques and stuff like that. So you never get bored. I'll put it that way. You never get bored.
Still kind of believe you need a traditional martial art, and then you can mix them together. Really,
Yeah.
That was the thing we said on one of our last podcasts. It was could you just train someone just bits of everything, or have them perfectly in striking, and then learn gradually the other bits. You know what I mean? At least he's mastered one.
Yeah.
But
100%. Yeah.
all of us agreed that day that you should have your traditional martial art, and then mix it all in.
Yeah. And I'm actually doing a film called Uncaged in the UK in Pinewood Studios in January, and I'm playing a cage fighter, like a martial arts cage fighter. But it was meant to start in March last year, so in January I started proper back training. Oh my god, my fucking cardio. I thought it was alright, and then
you
going to the gym
like,
oh fucking hell. But then I ended up tearing my rotator cuff as well, and that just the whole year really fucked me up.
It's a wrap, yeah.
So so I'm back now in the prep stage for that, but I'm just for the cardio side I'm like so it'll be an experience. And Francis Saunders, the director, he's an award-winning filmmaker, but he was a cage fighter for years and years, so it's great that he's written it and he knows it's going to be very authentic and genuine and stuff like that, but if you see me puking on screen, we know what happened.
Are an award-winning actor and everything. Can you tell us where all that started? And obviously a writer, director, and
multiple award winning.
Sounds better than it is.
Oh, that's true. It's phenomenal.
I don't know. I've always been very creative on the side of it. Academically, bored the shit out of me. I was a nightmare in school because it just rebelled against any kind of academic or any of that kind of stuff. So, playing music, playing drums, anything creative, I loved. Even English and art were the only subjects that I liked. Anything that was kind of on the creative side of it, and then the acting side of it, I did theatre, local theatre when I was really young. Do summer camps and theatre and all that. But I grew up in Drogheda, and Drogheda is the place if they found out you're doing theatre, they fucking kick your head in.
That must have been a hard sell.
So so that kind of got replaced then with the music and the martial arts. Then I kind of faded away from it, but it was always kind of at the back of my mind. And then with the tattoos and the looks, I kind of started getting roped into the modelling side of things, and I do mean roped into it because I was really quiet and shy on one side, and then another side, it's all a persona, even growing up in Drogheda, my nickname was Psycho because I was a fucking maniac, but that's a defence mechanism, and as you get older you realise that's all it was. You don't want to fuck it up. So it was you're suppressing this artistic side of it, and you're trying to be the hard man because it was such a tough fucking place to grow up in and stuff, and to be seen as doing any acting, it was absolutely you just like I said, get your head
those
kicked
two
in,
go
together at all. But then as I started getting the tattoos and stuff like that, like I said, it was more getting photo shoots, and then an agency signed me, and I was really reluctant because I was just really quiet and shy and was like a fucking rabbit in the headlights with it, And then I kind of was able to get over that, and I started getting into doing music videos for people and being in small little viral videos and stuff like that, and that kind of got me the bug then for the acting side of it. And it's funny now, just in the last like while, people are like, oh, I see you're acting now and all that. Like I've been 15 years like plugging away at it, and any actor will tell you the same thing, doing like all shitty roles and all that kind of stuff, building it up. And it's only in the last few years I've gotten, you know, a few roles, but it's funny that people just see in one thing and they think that it's a new thing. You know, it's
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, building up to it. So yeah, I was doing bits and pieces, and like Into the Badlands was the first big network show that I got. That was 2015, and then started opening doors, and I got signed to a bigger agent, and you know, stuff like that. But still nowhere near, you know, where you would like to be. And then I made the decision to go back training in Bow Street then, because any actor that you meet on set, they've all trained in Bow Street. It's like the biggest screen acting course, and it was kind of like it was a bit humbling, like, to do it, you know. I was like, because I've been plugging away at it for so long, and to go back, it's felt like I was going back, you know. But it was the best thing, you know. Opened up loads of doors, and
it made you better.
It made you better, yeah. And the connections were great as well. And once you kind of have the Bow Street name behind you, it's, you know,
things are a bit easier.
It's seen as oh, you're serious, you know. And so yeah.
And as an artist as well, I'd say it's I'd say that's really, really cool, like for you to go out and have done it and have your own take on acting, that informally, and then
definitely
to go back and then to be formally.
That's really interesting, because that's what I say to loads of people that are asking me about Bow Street, or should I go, or should I do it, or when I was there in the class, there was people that had never been on set before, so they were, you know, wanting to get into the industry, and like you said, it was great listening to them and being able to be like, you know, associate your own experiences with what they were saying, whereas someone who had never been on set, they were kind of, some things they would take as absolute gospel. This is the way it's done, and you're kind of like, well, it's your interpretation. If you didn't say that on this set, you'd be fucking told to fuck up, you know, like. So it was great, kind of looking at it from an experience point of view. So I was glad I did it the other way around, you know. I took a lot from it then. So, yeah, it was just like I said, just been plugging away at it, and it only feels in the last 2 years that it's finally just getting a little bit of traction, you know. But it's such a fickle industry, like, it's, you know, you think you can be onto something and it can just be like changed like that, and it's so much rejection. Like, the rejection is ridiculous. It's absolutely like, and that's why not a lot of people last at it, because of the rejection, you know. I was reading a really good interview with the actor John Hamm there a few weeks ago, and they were asking him, because it was something like, I think 12 years or something before he got his breakthrough role, like, and they were like, how did you stay at it? And he was just like, it was soul destroying, but he said, if you can just keep showing up and outlasting your opponent and keep knocking on that door, eventually someone has to answer. And he said all the same people were showing up for the auditions over the years, and then year 3 he wouldn't see them anymore, 4 it wouldn't be gone, and he was still there. And he said it was just persistence, and he was like, as long as you don't give up and you just keep going, they have to eventually let you in. It was just nice listening to someone like him being that is the way you have to do it, you know. So
it will happen eventually.
It will happen. Well,
hopefully.
And as well as acting, then you write as well, like, you know. How does that come about? Or do you see when you're on set and stuff like that, is that something you pick up? Is that something you had a passion for? Is that something that just came about just one day? Or
yeah, like I always enjoyed, you know, creative writing and all that kind of stuff, but I never in a million years thought I would go down that route. And what actually happened first was it was on my bucket list, but I wrote a book and never thought I'd even finish the book. Just started writing. I had this concept, had this idea, I was reading it, and then when I had 3 chapters done, I sent it out to a publishing 5 publishing companies just to see if there was any feedback or whatever, and 3 of them came back with wanting to see another 3 chapters. So I was like, oh fuck, I better get these 3 chapters done, because I was kind of making out like I had more, you know. I meant to send them 3 and then send them red. So I got that done, sent them out 6, and I got 2 publishing offers from that, but they were like, oh, we want to see the finished book. So that made me, I think, finish, you know,
have to finish
it, you know.
And, like, was it a case like of I'm going to set out to write a book, or is it a case like I'm going to put my thoughts on paper, or I'm going to write a screenplay, or what was it? Like,
It was set out to write a book. Yeah. I was like, fuck it, I had this idea. I think, you know.
And the name of the book, Ink Princess.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Could you
You've done your research?
Oh, absolutely, I have on to no end, and it's a best-selling book as well.
Yeah, it did really well, and it was like it's set in the tattoo industry, but it's from a fictional point of view, and the protagonist is female because I didn't want them associating it with me, you know.
Yeah.
But it's based on like I had many, but it's based on a stalker that I had actually. So the story her
I
and
can
all
talk
that,
your life back.
that's where the story came from, you know. So that was kind of the root of what the story is. But it's set in the tattoo industry, but yeah, it did well. And the rights to it have been bought by a UK production company to either turn it into a TV series or a film, which is amazing. And with lockdown, it's been delayed, so I don't know what's happening with it. But so that was kind of the, you know, dipping the toe into the writing aspect of it. And then it was actually when I was in Bow Street, they were encouraging you to write your own scripts. And you had to do scenes like every week, you know, so you could pick them from movies or you could write your own. So I just started writing my own, and they seemed to go down really well. And then I started writing scenes for other people in the classes for their scenes and stuff like that. And it was through that then that I wrote my first like proper short film, and just went from there, you know. But it was just having the confidence to do it. But even when I was in Bow Street, you know, one of the tutors, like after I did one of the scenes, like turned around and she was like, yeah, some people just shouldn't write their own stuff. And I was like humiliated.
I'll show you.
Well, at first I was like, I'm never writing again. I was humiliated. I was like, no, that's me done, like, you know. And then a couple of weeks I got over myself and I was like, nah, fuck her. But those kind of people spur you on in the opposite way, whereas you just like, well, I hope you see, you know, how the films are doing. And just one sentence from somebody like that can just change your whole trajectory, can't it? Like,
absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, it can really
Thanks for saying that as
yeah.
well. You know, there's a like. I think we can all relate to a situation in life, or many situations in life where we've had that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And especially, you know, teachers in school or anyone in a figure of authority, you know, and you don't realise how much your flippant comment can make to you know, an impressionable kid or anybody, you know. But yeah, those kind of people, you just have to try and turn it around and be like, right.
You've set out a challenge for me.
There you fucking go. But yeah, that's just somebody passing on their own insecurities, you know, because they're not where they want to be in life. And there's constructive criticism, absolutely, but something like that can be so detrimental where there's no constructive criticism. It's just like, yeah, some people shouldn't write their own stuff. Trying to like get a laugh out of
it's just a smart
the class, you know. And then everyone after class was like, well, like I was writing all their stuff, and they're like, no, we love your stuff, like don't mind her, you know. It's just like, but anyway, yeah, that's where the initial spur came from. But it was nothing that I really kind of ever planned or set out to do. And the other thing about it is, sorry, I'm going on a bit long here, but
please.
The other thing about it is when, and again, emphasised when you're in Bow Street and places like that, that is, if you're not getting acting work or you're not getting the acting work that you want to get, just write your own fucking stuff. Because, like, I do get typecast as the drug dealer and the gangster and all that. That's fine, I love playing them, you know. But there is more to me than that side of it. As an actor, you want to express yourself a little bit more. So Reflection, the first film that I wrote, I portrayed myself in a completely vulnerable role. It's about suicide, you know. It's basically about the character Paul. He's about to end his life in the woods with a rope around his neck, and just before he's about to do it, a little girl who's lost in the woods interrupts me, you know, and she's lost, so I go on a journey then to try and, you know, find her parents, and there's I won't ruin the ending, but there's loads of twists and stuff like that happens with it. But it's just the juxtaposition between seeing my image with the little girl and being so vulnerable and open with the little girl, and she was brilliant, like she's only 6, you know, so we were having great natural conversations about death and, you know, all this kind of stuff, and casting directors were like, fucking hell, we never would have pictured this. So sometimes you have to show them because they just can't can't see it,
imagine
you know?
it themselves,
And that kind of opened up doors then to being able to play different characters,
And that particular film, Reflection, it won a couple of awards, didn't it? Baz.
Throw that in there.
Throw that in there. No, but it actually won Best European Short and the Albert, I don't know how to pronounce it, the Punyan Award for Best Director.
Yeah.
So, like, pretty big deal, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it was,
I mean, come on, give yourself a little bit of credit here.
It's nice accreditation, you know, like, the awards are brilliant, and it's definitely like a crew and team effort, and the actors and all that kind of stuff. But for me, like, the awards are a stepping stone to getting further on with it, you know, and it was kind of a build up. So the next one we did, then it already had a kind of, we had a better reputation that we were serious, and we went to the film festivals. They knew us from Reflection, and you were able to show proof of concept that you had these awards and stuff like that. So yeah, it is. It's obviously really nice winning the awards and stuff like that, but it's not something that you really dwell on and use it more as a marketing tool.
It's credibility, like, for your next project and
exactly,
stuff like that.
Yeah. Especially now building up to a feature film, they want to see a track proven record of what you've done, and you know, and that's where you'll be able to get the funding then to show that you've actually done something.
Can you tell us about Mero that won the overall spirit of the festival award? Can you tell us anything? So natural.
Yeah.
But can you tell us about Mero, please?
Yeah, so Mero came from stories that my granddad used to tell us as kids. He'd always take us, he grew up in Skerries, like, he'd always take us there, and he was a great storyteller, and one of the stories was always the mermaid that lived in the harbour, like, of Skerries, and it used to fucking terrify us. Like, we were fully convinced, you know. We were fascinated, but we were terrified. And it was, one day I found myself recounting the same story to my little niece, you know, just because my granddad is kind of and then I was driving home in the car, and I was like, you know what, that would just make a really cool story. And it's just, I love the Irish mythology and our heritage, and it's so sad that it's like fading away, and it's, you know, with you know, social media, nobody's interested in storytelling anymore. It's just all fast paced. So I just wanted to kind of demonstrate our Irish mythology and just show like how beautiful it is and the storyline to it, and there's a terrifying aspect of it as well.
So would you like class it as like kind of a folklore type of
kind of
new age
short
film?
Kind of a folklore, and like the whole mythology of it is basically that there's loads of different mythologies surrounding mermaids, but one of them is the changeling, and basically that her kid had drowned, and it was like hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and to try and bring the kid back, she would take a victim, so she'd offer it to the sea. Now in mythology that would be a fisherman. In our story in Mero, it's a girl just visiting the location of it, and every time that she drowns someone, she thinks that it's going to bring her child back, and it never does, you know, and the locals know never to go near that area. So the girl in our film, she's visiting there, so she doesn't know that she's meant to be there, you know. So it's more kind of a poetic movie and more an art. It's music, and we wrote the song that the mermaid sings, and it's in Irish, and the girl Anya, who plays the mermaid, she actually sang the song herself. And then there's the intro is like a poem, and it's a poem to end it as well, so we wrote that as well. So it's more kind of an artistic vision, but it was from Reflection. I wanted to do something completely different.
I was just about to say that,
it's
completely different.
Yeah, and then I'm, you know, obviously I'm not in it, I'm not playing the mermaid or anything. But then when people saw that, they're like, what the fuck is this now? Like, you know, it's like, but that's just me. I don't like to just kind of pigeonhole myself, you know. If I want to make something, I'll go make it. I won't worry about what other people are going to think, or, you know, But my main goal with that, one of my main goals was for it to do well in America, and the Americans are loving it, you know, because it's Irish and it's real, like, you know, Celtic-y and stuff like that. And we just won an award now. Just throw it out there. But so it's great. And then, like I said, proof of concept then to go on and do bigger things.
Yeah. It's just another stamp.
Just another stepping stone. Yeah.
And then we were looking at some of the stuff when we were researching as the office workers transformation. You know, if you know, we'll probably set it, like put a link or something on it. I thought it was really, really good, and I found it really actually genuinely inspirational in a lot of ways. Like, you know what I mean, to don't want to say don't conform or anything like that, but I just thought it showed a really cool way, like it just conveyed a really cool message to be yourself, you know, no matter how that is. How you look or your skin colour or your gender or whatever doesn't mean that you're a bad person or whatever, you know. So I thought it was really good. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah,
it's a really interesting video with the makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. You know, as humans, we're naturally born to judge aesthetically. You know, we all do it. You know, and some people feel the need to project on it. But yeah, it was just, I suppose, it was from, you know, my experience personally with people asking me what happens when you're older, why did you do that to yourself, you're going to regret that, you know. So and then it was, I had this idea, this concept for it, and my friend Marie Murphy, who's an award-winning makeup artist, I asked her would it be possible, and she was like, give me a few days to think about that. And I'll do some research, you know. So yeah, the whole purpose of the video was to show that, and I was saying to you before we started this, you know, some people took it up wrong, and it's like, oh, anybody who works in an office is miserable. That's not the point of it. It just happened to be an office worker.
And incredibly true.
Yeah.
It could have been any work. It could have been any job.
Anything at all. And it's just the conformity of people that were set up in a society of basically worker ants, and they want you to fall into that category and stay in your lane and not break out from it. And there's some people that are perfectly happy to do that, but people on the artistic side of things, that's their worst nightmare, you know. And in the video, you know, he's miserable in the office, his co-workers treating him like shit, his boss is treating him like shit, you know, absolutely miserable. And then as the video follows him home and, you know, starts
completely transforms,
and it's basically being, that's who he's happy with, and then it follows to him playing the gig with his band, you know, that's where he's truly happy. But he has to conform himself in the office environment to fit in, to be someone. So that's it. Yeah, the whole philosophy of the video is be whoever makes you happy, you know, and don't be worrying about if you want to dye your hair or you want to fucking get a tattoo or a piercing or you want to wear whatever you want to wear. And people are going to judge you, and we've set ourselves up in a society where that is the case, unfortunately, that people do judge you for whatever you do. But life is way too short, and the opinions of strangers, in the grand scheme of things, do not fucking matter. Well, you know, when you're on your deathbed, are you going to be thinking of the guy that said a comment to you 22 years ago, and you're like, well, why didn't I do that, you know? So
as I said, be the person who makes you happy, and
that's it.
That's a great quote for the future.
that's the whole philosophy of it. And then just with the makeup video, we filmed some of it in my parents' house, and I told my mum, I was like, oh, we're just going to film some scenes, but I didn't tell her what the thing was about at all. She was like, yeah, fine. And I showed up with the DP, like the guy who was shooting it, and rang the doorbell. Mother answered, and my own mother introduced herself to me.
Oh, she didn't recognise
me at all. She's like, oh, hi, I'm Barry's mum. And I kind of like was already walking into the house, and after she was like thinking, she was saying to me, she's saying, who the fuck is this? She's walking into the house, didn't even say hello. And then she looked into my eyes. I've never seen my mum freak out as much as she did, you know. And then when I was doing the bits just before the removal, it was the first time that I'd looked into the full mirror. And so many people all the time say, oh, you're gonna regret it, what happens when you're older? And I'd always be very deflective of it and be like, live for today, doesn't fucking matter, you know. But at the back of my mind, I always would be like, what would my life be like? What would I look like? How would I feel? My life would be a lot easier as regards, you know, the shit that you have to deal with for looking this way. But I can honestly say that when I looked in the mirror, it was like a stranger looking back at me. I absolutely hated it. I couldn't wait to get the makeup off, and thank fuck I felt that way and not the other way. But yeah, I honestly, I was like, and then when I got the makeup off, I was like, oh, felt like myself again. It's hard to explain without sounding like Ponzi, but it really was. It was like
you're happy being
it confirms my decision. And like I never did it for anybody else's approval or their, you know, like I honestly don't give a shit. And you do have to deal with people's judgments and all that. I do it for myself, but it was just such a relief to myself that I was like, no, I'm happy like this way, you know,
I I'll second. I don't know whether it was incredible acting or what, Baz, but your body language and all looked a hell of a lot better when you were able to wipe that stuff off. It almost like it was really you, like, you know.
Kind of, but with the makeup on, and I just felt it was weird. It was like an outer body experience. Like, I'm not just saying it. It was just fucking weird. Like, I just
you didn't feel as confident or anything.
No, I just didn't feel like it was me. Like, I really didn't. You know, I just felt so weird. And then, like, I remember, like, when I got it and did it, and we did a cut. Like, I was like, oh fuck! It was a relief, like, just to get it off. It was a strange feeling. Yeah. So
just trying to be someone else was just.
Yeah, just even for that moment, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It just.
I love how it ends up like you're in the band and stuff like that, and you're drumming and on, you're going away, and those same office workers come to your gig, and then you end up signing it.
Yeah, that was the little dig, you know.
It's very good, Baz. So that was like I can see the kind of progression now between acting, writing, and did you direct that?
Yeah. That was my first thing, actually, before the short films or anything like that. That was the first. Now I directed music videos and stuff like that before, but that was my first, like, little short piece. But they took a clip from that, just a removal thing, and it went like 100 million viral, like, all over the place. And it was Kat Von D, who's a famous tattoo artist. It was her makeup line that we did, so we tagged her, and then she was sharing it, and she's got hundreds of millions. So it exploded, and it was great at the start because people were tagging you and, you know, getting exposure and promoting you and all that. Yeah. But then as it went on, they weren't even tagging you anymore, and people were using it for their own websites and stuff. It was just it was like completely lost control.
Yeah, it was lost to you, and it was like
and people were editing it as well to make it something that it wasn't, you know. And I was like, the point of it is to, you know, have a positive impact, and you know, and people were just kind of taking their own take on it. But that's the internet for you, you know.
It is. Well, like, for me anyway, it had a very positive impact on me, and it did, like I said, I mean, if you haven't seen it, you need to check it out, and I'll probably put a link for it in the video. Right here. We have so many questions, Baz, but, like, you said you did music, and you've been in a couple of bands, and can you just tell us about that? You know, what you get from music, what instruments you like to play, how you began to play instruments, and all that.
Yeah, like, music, it's like, absolutely, I have music and life tattooed on me. Like, it's ever since I was a kid, and if you ask my mother, I've been drumming since the age of 3. Like, I just always been drumming. And then I grew up, my cousins were always in bands, so just hanging out with them when I was kids, and when they go out for a smoke, they'd let me hop in on the drums. So I've always been a drummer. Can't play any other instrument. I can do a bit of singing, and I do backing singing for bands and stuff like that, but I'm just a drummer through and through. And I've been in bands pretty much since I was 10, you know, in some shape or form or the other. You know, I've always been in it. I'm in 3 bands at the moment, and I don't think there was ever a time in my life where I wasn't at least in one band, you know. And just grew up listening to the likes of Metallica, Pantera, all that kind of stuff, and then got into the more punk rocky side of things, and been in loads of different bands, mainly on the punk side of things then as it went on. And currently I drum with, like, a Prodigy tribute band, so that's really fun to play that kind of stuff as well. And then I have, like, a Celtic rock band, Amongst the Wolves, and then I have another side. I'm in 4 bands actually at the moment. I can't remember what they are.
Really cool. The Prodigy tribute band I have written here, Amongst the Wolves, a little bit with Mongo Horn, shows Mongo Horn, and the Delinquents. And then I have a side project called A Bite Like Yours, and I'm in the studio with them actually this week coming, so we're recording our EP and stuff. But just drumming, just music in general. I just can't be without it. If I'm training, before I go on set, in work, I need music. Absolutely, like,
it's just a passion.
It's just absolutely passion, yeah. And it's all kinds of music. Like, just as long as it's good music, I'll listen to it. You know, my taste is quite eclectic. But yeah, I just grew up, and it's just like when I'm behind the drums, it's weird because, you know, with the acting, you're in the front and all that kind of stuff. I would absolutely hate to be a front man of a band. I love being in behind the drums.
Really? Yeah.
And I'm just in my own little, like, safety zone, and I don't want to
There's a
sound
barrier here between me
like,
and
I don't want to sound like a knob, but I do really like get lost when I'm behind my drums. Like I'm in my own little zone. I don't think about fucking anything. It's one of the only times I don't have any like worries, or I'm just I love it. Like, you know, I'm in my little safety, but I'd hate to be out the front. You know, like fucking Eddie. He loves it.
I'd say it's a cool point of view though as well, being the drummer and seeing the singer and seeing the maybe bass player, guitarist and the crowd.
I'd
say it's a cool place to be.
It was one of my concepts early on actually, for a full back piece was like at the bottom of my back, like a perspective of my drums of what I can see, and then the singer and the guitarist and the crowd like looking out as a back piece, you know. It didn't happen. I ended up getting the jiu-jitsu crest my whole fucking back actually. It was one of the, but it's a cool perspective. I love, you know, just sitting there watching it all unfold, especially with the Prodigy tribute band, just watching those guys and the energy, and I'm just pissing myself laughing, you know, and they just start giving us so much, and the interaction with the guy who plays Keith Flint, like he'd be right up over the drums, like singing, and that bounce off. And in Mongahorn, unfortunately, I saw some sights with Eddie. That no drummer wants to fucking see.
Eddie, I was asking Andy and Eddie, two very good friends of ours as well. I was asking like Eddie, you know, any questions and all. We were doing research and stuff, you know, and. He said, ask him about the story about how we first met. So I would be remiss if I didn't ask. I don't know what the story is, but he said.
Yeah, it was just one of those. It's a bit mad, but like. So I was Pearson in a shop called Metamorphosis in Temple Bar. I worked there for 6 years, and you know, at Central Bank, you'd have the Central Bank kids that used to hang out, you know, the skateboards and all that. At the time, I think it was This Is England, the film, there was this like skinhead Nazi movement going on with those guys. I don't know how it translated to them, but they all overnight they just became like these Nazi skinheads.
That look,
guys,
you know, I remember,
And there used to be so many rumours, like when I worked in there, like I don't know, just all these rumours going around, right? But one of the rumours, right, and it's another thing that's just fucking pure racism, absolute bullshit and all. One rumour was that I was a Jew, right? And I was going to get knifed on the way home because I was a Jew from the skinheads. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ, lads, like, what the fuck is going on? So there's all this is mad story.
So many questions already.
There was all this tension, right, going on. And they were like, fucking, don't be surprised if you get hopped, and like there was all these words coming through. So me being like, I was like, fuck them, like I'll walk right into the middle of them. That's just what I'm right. I don't give a shit, like, you know, and that's not me to her, man. That's just me. If there's anything like that, I'm like straight on with conflict. So all this shit was going on, and in walks Eddie, right? And Eddie walked in, and he had like the red braces on, the fucking checker shirt, the mohawk, and I was like, right, here we fucking go. This is one of them coming in. And he came in, and you know what Eddie's like? He's like, yeah, you Baz Black? I said, yeah, fucking am, fucking Baz Black, yeah. You alright? You fucking alright? Like, and he was like, yeah, I'm alright. Are you alright? Like, we started having this.
This is so weird.
And then I was getting to the point where I was like about to start walking around the counter thinking, right, here we fucking go. I go, I've got a fucking problem, like. And we were having this like banter, and he goes, yeah. And he got a CD, he's like, listen to that, let me know what you think. And I walked out. I was like, what the fuck? What is after fucking happening here? And then Mocker, it was the drummer with another band, he was the one who had recommended me to Eddie, but I hadn't known this at the time. And Mocker sent me a text like later on, because I was going, what the fuck is this?
Just the image of Eddie coming in and you.
Yeah. It was like a square up. Mocker texted me going, oh, Eddie from that band, Mongahorn's going to drop a CD into you today. He wants to know about your drum. I thought,
he was already
this is not fucking going to happen. So anyway, listened to the CD, loved it. Gave him a shout, said, sorry man. I think I said, sorry man, I thought you were someone else today. Love the music, let's get a practice together. So that was our first interaction there.
Wow.
We nearly started killing each other.
That's class.
Yeah. Never got hopped either, surprisingly.
Oh,
yeah. So that's the story of that. And then 7 years with those lads.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
I've been to see Eddie and Andy and that perform.
Oh yeah.
So Eddie's quite the performer.
Yeah, to say the least.
Artist, definitely.
Crazy few years and just like absolute madness, but yeah, great fun the whole time. We should write a book sometime about all the madness.
Yeah,
that'd be some book.
Well, I kind of wrote a film about it.
That was the
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Right, Andy asked me to ask you, did you get any new symbols?
He wants to put that in the.
He should have said that. I'd give you a laugh. I've no idea what that means.
Yeah.
But I said I'd ask.
He has a few of those phrases that he used to ask me every fucking week in practice. He's a lot. He's quite a lot of them. Yeah.
Right.
He's gas character.
Yeah, he's a gent. The two of those lads. Shout out to Andy and Eddie. Just two of the coolest people I know, on top of yourself as well. But
no, they're absolutely lovely guys, and going on tour with them is just like fucking best
unforgettable.
ever, unforgettable would be the word. Yeah, crazy guys, but yeah, good times, good memories.
There's a lot more to delve into, but you're a professional body piercer.
Yeah.
A tattoo artist.
Not a tattoo artist, no.
No.
But
You own
everyone.
a tattoo shop though.
Yeah, I did own tattoo shops, but like, no matter what interviews I do, and I tell I'm a piercer, I'm not a tattoo artist. Baz Black, tattoo artist. Like, it's just everyone just presumes. No, it's fine. Like, I can't draw to save my life. I can physically tattoo, but I'm not an artist, and you need to be an artist for that side of it. So yeah, I've always been a piercer, and I did all like the body modification side of things as well, all the crazy shit. So that was like an artistic way, but no, I'm not a tattoo artist. Yeah.
Sorry, Baz. How does somebody get into body piercing? And I mean, from some of the stuff I've seen, maybe on TV and stuff like that, it can get quite surgical. Like, it can get quite to the doctorate level.
Definitely.
From a person, an outsider looking in.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, an apprenticeship is the only way to go if you're going to do it right. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't do it right, but it's 3 years full intensive apprenticeship, and like a lot of people don't realise, to do it properly you need to qualify in anatomy and physiology, cross-contamination, bloodborne pathogens, aseptic technique before you're even allowed touch a needle, because you need to know exactly what you're putting in, you know, and more so than tattooing, because tattooing stays above the subcutaneous layer. So apart from septicemia, there's not too much damage you can do with tattooing. You can scar people, and you know, but septicemia would be the risk with that. But when you're in the piercing zone of things, you're talking about arteries, nerve endings, you know, you're into serious shit. And it scares me how flippant some people can be about that stuff, and not knowing
what they could cause.
Not knowing what they can cause, you know, and there's so much damage that you can do with it. So that's the proper way of doing it. And
where does somebody come to learn? I mean, do you go to a proper school? Do you spend time in a piercing shop with a professional?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, it's kind of annoyingly a grey area, because any piercing or tattoo schools, they're a money scam, you know. They're not a legislated thing. The people float in and they do like a fucking 3-day course. It's like, what do you learn in a 3 day? You learn how to damage people. Like, there's no way you can learn the amount of knowledge that you need to learn, you know. So they're just a money grabbing cash scheme, and anybody in the industry will tell you the same thing. I have never seen a successful piercer from any piercing school ever in 18 years of being a piercer, you know.
Okay. So
getting into a good shop, getting somebody, you know, that's experienced with a good reputation is the only way. And I was on my free time, I was up cleaning the metamorphosis, trying to get an apprenticeship, you know, but they had nothing available. But I was still offering my time and making sure that they knew who I was. So eventually then I was like, nah, I fucking need to do this. So I packed my bags and moved to California. Everyone thought I was crazy. It probably was a bit crazy. I was just like, no plans, just fucked off, you know. So I went over there, and that's, you know, where I started my journey onto it. And it is really intensive and it's really hard, but it's the best thing I ever did, you know. And if you're taught, same with martial arts, if you're taught bad, you carry it through. You're just going to be bad. If you're taught good, you know, carry it through. So, and then I've personally myself had eight apprentices over the years as well. And I was reluctant to take the last one on, and he pestered me for a year, and that's what I want to see. I don't want people coming in going, "Is it friendship?" No, and then you never see them again. I want them to prove to me that they want it, you know. But I warn them how strict I am and how fucking, because it's my fucking name they're walking around with, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
And especially when I had my studios and the shops and all that, it's not like, oh, yeah, Mark did the piercing, it's Baz Black piercing, you know. It's your name going around it, so you have to make sure that they're up to the standard that you need them to be, and not damaging people and keep your reputation up, you know. But yeah, it's a tough thing to get into, and it's a very like rock and roll lifestyle, you know. A lot of drugs, a lot of partying, alcohol. People think it's a cool job, job and all that, but that's why I got out of Dublin, because that's, you know, it's a lot of that shit, and that wasn't my scene at all, you know.
And California then, obviously probably light years ahead of us, if not in a completely different stratosphere as regards piercing and how it's done. Is it much more structured there? Is it much more regulated there? Yeah,
definitely. I've been campaigning laws and legislation for Ireland for the last 10 years, sent petitions into governments, and there is no legislation in Ireland, which is fucking terrifying. We're the last European country to have it.
Piercing places.
Yeah, like every single country has, like, you need to have your certificates of your aseptic techniques and your autoclave and to be able to open your doors. Whereas I can sit outside in a van there and start piercing and nobody can say anything to me, you know. It's terrifying, yeah. I know certain shops that still have carpets on their floors in a tattoo shop. Can you imagine what's in their fucking carpets? So, you know, so it's, and if the legislations came in, I would say 60% of the shops would be gone overnight in Ireland. Yeah, because you just walk in, you can see all the violations, you know. Yeah. So that is a scary side of it. But yeah, California, and they treat the apprenticeships, especially with tattooing. I was lucky, not so bad, but they do treat it like the army, you know. They fucking beat you down, and then they have this massive award ceremony. They present your machines to you. It's like this whole big ritual that you need to earn your way into the industry. I kind of like it. I'm old school, you know.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
You know, but these days it's so readily available to just go buy shit off eBay, watch some YouTube videos, go, yeah, I can fucking do this, you know. And it's like, they just end up destroying people, you know. We did laser removal in the shops over the years, and you want to see the shit coming in like this, and not even old stuff, new stuff, you know. Or the most frustrating, people coming in and asking you about tattoo, and you're telling them what will work and what won't work. You spend half an hour with them, and they're pricing, and then they fucking fuck off, go get it done exactly what you told them wasn't, and then they come back and be like, "Can you remove this?" You know, it's like you're just wasting your time talking to these people. You know, it's frustrating. But the laser, yeah, we saw some doozies.
Can you tell us about some of them doozies?
Yeah, well, the funniest one, it's a little bit morbid, but the funniest one, this guy came in and he had his full leg done of the most amazing fucking portraits I've ever seen. And they were all his favourite TV presenters over the years, like right through to the 80s and all that. And we were looking at them, they were amazing, like the detail on them. And he's like, yeah, I need to get one removed. And we're like, which one? Dropped his pants. Who did he have from here to here? Jimmy fucking Savile. Smoking the cigar, like massive hair. He's like, I can't take my kids to the pool. I can't fucking. So, and he'd spent, I think he'd spent over 10 grand like getting his leg done. It was fucking amazing. And now he kind of saw the funny side. He's like, I know, like, you know, saw the funny side. So he started getting that removed. And then a couple of months into his treatment, he was like, yeah, another one needs to go. He'd fucking Rolf Harris on the back of his fucking cab, you know? But he had Noel Evans and Mr. Blobby. I said, they're next. He's like, don't you fucking Mr. Blobby, no. We had another girl come in. She went on a holiday to Spain for a week, met a guy, fell in love, got his name tattooed in old English script the whole way across her fucking stomach.
Oh no.
Mikkel. She got home, fake phone number, fake name, fake Facebook he'd given her. And we were like, did he get your name like tattooed back? She's like, no, fucking
that was the mistake.
That was the mistake, yeah.
Sunshine and alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we saw some funny ones over the years. But yeah, that's the industry. And like these days with myself, I just do like guest spots and like private appointments, and I just kind of specialise in high end diamonds and clusters and jewellery, and it's become like, it's gone through so many phases, but now it's just become like you can get absolute amazing real diamond clusters and all these, like, so for especially for girls obviously coming in and getting under like a fashion accessory, and that's what I specialise in. So I go around and do guest spots, and I have a much better work-life balance, and wherever I go I'm lucky it just books out for the days that I'm there, and I can just do my stuff, and then I have time for all the other stuff.
And how far a different field is body modification? Is it like, because I'm ignorant, so
Yeah.
so how different is that? It's probably like traditional and new age. I don't know. I'm asking here, but if you didn't know, that's a separate field altogether, would it be?
Yeah, and like I did it for a good number of years, and it's such a fucking grey area. It always was a grey area, but especially now. And a good friend of mine in the UK, a body modification artist, it's even crazy to say it now. And he'd been doing it for like I think 20 years. Amazing practitioner, like absolutely aseptic technique, brilliant, you know. And they put him in prison for 3 years for doing it. Like it's just fucking crazy. He owned a really successful piercing tattoo shop in the UK, and what happened was he had, I don't want to paraphrase, but what I heard was he had a falling out with some jewellery supplier, and the jewellery supplier reported him to the council and said, is he meant to be doing that shit? Should a doctor not be doing that? So the council came along, sent him a letter saying you have to go to court because they need to evaluate what you're doing. And none of his clients ever complained, and they tried to reach out to his clients to try and get them to complain, and they all consented. Went to court, and it was all over like our piercing page and going like there's no way they're gonna fucking do it. And then somebody said, oh, they're pushing for him to be done for GBH. Yeah. The judge actually said, I need to make an example of you to stop people doing this, and gave him 3 years. And he just had a new baby like the month before. So he did 2.5, and he got out there about 6 months ago for doing his job. Like, it's fucking mental, you know. So that was the end of it for me. I kind of been, I wasn't really doing it anymore. I was busy with other stuff, you know. But over the years, yeah, like I did. So I did all crazy shit. Like I did subdermal implants, which
What's
is
a subdermal?
so basically it's like a breast implant, you know, like silicone, but you can get different shapes. Like so, the back of the hand will be a popular one. Yeah. So you can get like a skull under, so it's under your skin.
Yeah.
So So did all that crazy shit. Did tongue splitting, that would be a popular one. Scarification.
Is the tongue splitting very popular?
Yeah. I wouldn't say popular, but I did loads of them over the years. Yeah. And scarification would be the most popular one that I did. So basically tattooing with a scalpel. And people get it for different reasons. Some people for religious reasons, some for aesthetic reasons. You know, and you have to be
very basic designs like scarification. Like they wouldn't be as like
detailed,
incremental as a tattoo.
No, but the advancement of it got quite intricate actually. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did all sorts, you know. I can show you some pictures. I did loads of different stuff like that. But yeah, scarification is a big one. Magnetic finger implants. So it basically gives you a new sensation. Like if you walk into a room and the microwave is on, you can feel it in your hand. And you can pick up, it's a cool party piece, you can pick up anything.
So many uses for that.
Magneto. So yeah, I did all that crazy shit for years. But don't do it anymore.
Did you enjoy doing it?
Yeah. I did. Yeah. I from an ethical point of view, I was so careful of people's reasoning for getting it done, as I am with piercing and tattoos, even to this day, because I think it's our responsibility to make sure that people are getting it done. And I probably turned down more than I said yes to be honest with you. If somebody was getting something extreme and they were getting it to be cool, not happening. Or I had like one girl come up to me, I was doing body modification at a tattoo convention, and she was 18 I think, and she wanted to get the Joker scarred into her face, you know, and I was like, well, why do you want to do that? You know, because it's cool, it'd be cool like the Joker, you know. And I was like, no, you know. And there was loads of things like that where people coming in, and a lot of like guys coming in and they wanted a scar so that they could pretend like they'd been in a fight to like, oh yeah, I got a scar. And so I was like, no, No.
Go get in a real fight.
Get it, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, did all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that stuff does attract extreme people. So you just have to be wary about, you know, who you're doing it on and stuff. So I was always very particular about that. It's just some of the things people ask for, you're just like,
Yeah,
even for me, I'm like, fuck it. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, now these days I've owned 6 or 7 tattoo and piercing shops over the years, and the last one was in Dundalk. I had for 7 years, and no exaggeration, it got to the stage where the queue was out the door every day. Like, it was fucking busiest shop ever. And when I announced it was closing, everybody told me I was insane, I was crazy, why would you fucking close it? But that's people looking from the outside in. I was on the verge of having a mental breakdown. Like, yeah, the shop was busy, but I had no time for anything else in my life at all.
That was it.
That was it. And I was going, playing gigs and coming back, I was turning down acting work, and I was beginning to resent it, and it was so fucking busy. And even when you weren't there, you're still there, you know yourselves, from having your own business, you're just constantly,
It was becoming more of a chore than it was.
It was, yeah. And I was really like on the verge, and it was a massive decision to close it, and it took me 3 months to evaluate it after I closed it, but now I'm so much happier. I'm like, I have such a much better work-life balance, and I don't mind going doing the piercing guest spots on the days, and I can do it and then go again, and I still love that aspect of it, but not having the anchor to shop around is just.
You wouldn't have one again then, would you not?
Not for the foreseeable future, you know. And the problem is, everyone's like, oh well, would you not like get people to work for you and leave it there? It doesn't really work like that, you know, because
as you say, you have to be fully.
And it's your name.
And your name, and again, like, not sounding like that, but like the amount of people that would come in and be like, Baz here, oh no, he's away, he'd be back, oh, I'll wait for Baz, and they're kind of, and then I'd feel obligated. I'd be like, fuck, I have to go in, and you know, because you're trying to look after them, keep everyone happy, and it's kind of, it's just I've seen it so many times where people just try and have people working in the shop. It just, the standards slip, and yeah, I'm all or nothing as well, you know, so I'd be very kind of protective
you have to be
of
hands
it, you
on,
know,
like
as
it's
well.
your thing. Yeah.
But for now, not on it, the way I have it set up now, and then we have the production company and all the other stuff that I'm busy with, I'm just able to balance things a lot better, and I'm so much happier. I didn't realise how unhappy I was until after I closed it, you know.
Yeah.
Just the stress of it was just
Through the roof. It was more than what it was worth.
Yeah. The money was great, but there's no point in having loads of money if you don't have time to fucking spend it. Like,
So yeah, how many
true,
successful people do you see at the top of a mountain only to jump off?
that's the thing,
you know?
yeah. And I was like, oh, but you're making so much money, What's the point if you're fucking miserable? You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's no point in
It's all there, it's just it's not going anywhere, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, one of the scariest decisions I ever made, but one of the best things I ever did.
Yeah.
We're chuffed with it.
Just
have your own thing set up now.
That's perfect. Yeah.
And can you speak to that a little bit more then? I mean, it takes a lot of courage to say I was on the verge of a mental breakdown. Was that a phrase that you say, or was it like, you know, how bad or things are? What was the way that had to be done? It got to that point, like, because everybody is kind of struggling, as you said. We talked about before we turned on the camera, and I mean, how bad can it get? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, like, you know, struggled on the side of mental health, and I'm kind of reluctant to talk about it so that it's not just kind of blasé, you know, because I don't know, it's just become a bit flippant.
It has,
you know?
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
But yeah, I've always struggled in that, and I find like struggling and trying to find my path and my way through, and I'd be quite stubborn. Like with the shop, I'd be stubborn, going like, no, I'll dig in, I'll go, and I'll kind of work myself into a workaholic state, you know, just trying to get yourself out of it. And then I find it's when you know, it gets to a point where it's either make or break, and then you make a decision and you don't realise how bad it was until afterwards, you know. So yeah, because like, I'm a major stress head. I have really bad fucking anxiety. I have really bad social anxiety. I walked out of the cinema last night because it was too packed and I just couldn't fucking deal, like, you know.
Really?
So yeah, I'm really fucking bad in social situations and stuff like that. I'm like notoriously quiet and shy around if I'm in a group of people, like, and people think I'm ignorant, you know, and I get that a lot. I thought you were a cunt, you know. It's just, I don't like it when I'm with my mates and here I'm relaxed and, you know, I'm talking normally and crack jokes and people who don't know me, like when I be, you know, around my friends and like cracking jokes as I normally am, to be like, they never would have thought I'd be that side of things, you know. So yeah, I'm a bit like a double-edged sword with all that kind of thing, and like, especially with the lockdown, so many people I know are really like, you know, struggling and suffering. It's kind of like being swept under the carpet a bit now, that it's like, oh yeah, it's over, but the effect, like the PTSD effect of that is only kind of starting to creep through now. I find that I see
people are
a
afraid to
lot.
go back out into like
Definitely.
what they used to do, like, you know, like, even talking to the people that they used to talk to before the lockdown, it's like, oh, should I say this anymore? Should this happen? Like, you know, they used to talk to each other like best friends, and now you're like questioning what you should be saying to them. Like, it's just mad, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, the suicide rate is
through the roof.
Absolutely through the roof. So many of my friends' businesses have gone bust, and they're fucking struggling so badly. So yeah, the whole effect of everything, no matter what, it affected everyone in its own way. And I find that people think it's just them, you know, because nobody's talking about it. And then somebody says it and you're like, oh fuck, you feel like that as well.
It's not only me,
it's not only me, and you're like, fuck, you know. So I think the best thing is to verbalise it, you know, and talk about it, and you'd be amazed the amount of people that, even for me with piercing with customers, I like every second customer, like, you know, because with the piercing thing, the same as tattooers, it's almost like being a psychiatrist. You hear fucking everything.
You get all sorts of stories.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys are the same. You know, you end up talking about personal things.
Like,
you know?
Even when you go to get big tattoos and all that, you have like
you just have
you're there for a long while.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, do you want to lie down on the couch here and talk? You're really getting into things, you know. But it's affected people really bad, and for myself, I mean, the videos that I do or anything that I can turn that's negative, that's happened me, into a positive. And as I was saying to you before this, I cringe at some of them, you know. I'm very kind of, I don't know, reluctant to put stuff out there, but then the messages and the reactions that it gets, and it reaches people that you never in a million years would have thought that it would have resonated with, you know. And all walks of life as well, not just teenagers, or, you know, like I've had businessmen coming up to me in the gym being like, I fucking saw your video and you know what, it just made me change. And I'm like, you know, fucking hell. So that kind of makes me then, you know, force myself into doing it a little bit more. And it's, I hate to feel preachy because I have my own fucking issues, and I'm saying, oh yeah, well, just be yourself and just do that and all that. At the same time, I'm fucking struggling. You know, like, it's kind of that. You know, you feel like a bit of a charlatan sometimes. You're like, you know, but anything I can do to try and spin it around in a positive light. That's, you know.
It's not an easy process, the whole lot of it. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of it's tough, and but yeah, like all the negative shit that I get, if I can just turn that into some kind of a positive, then I'm happy. You know.
And even reaching different like walks of people and around, like, it's just mad.
You just never know
who's thinking what. That's the thing about mental health. You never know what's inside here. Like,
no,
what's inside people's heads.
My mate, he's an actor, went out for a night with the lads, had a fucking great laugh, had a few drinks, nothing heavy, watched a match, fucking blah blah blah, went home and killed himself. And he was like, the whole night
buzzing,
chat, not even a fucking inkling, you know. But my jiu-jitsu instructor, he killed himself, and he was he was like the loveliest, like absolutely amazing martial artist. Like, he was just incredible, but he was a really big role model to us, you know. And I'll never forget the night, the last night we were training, and he just wasn't himself. Like, you know, he really was just really down. And I remember, like, the guy who ran the club, Johnny Lupton, when we were locking up, the last thing he said was like, you come see me tomorrow and we'll have a chat, you know, was the last thing he said. And then he just went home and killed himself, you know. So I've had loads of friends and people like that, you know, who have done it, and you just, like you said, you just never know what has gone on in somebody's head.
It's a mad.
Yeah,
it's a very cruel world. Like, and
it is.
It's getting worse by the day with all this.
It really is. And social media is just like, I really dread for my nieces and like, you know, what the fuck are, like, if it's like this now, like, how bad is it gonna get, you know?
Before things completely fall apart,
you know, and that, like you said, that's why I stopped reading comments for myself, because, and it's unfortunate because I don't get to see the positive comments, but as much as I'm like, oh, keyboard warriors, and I used to sit there and argue back with them and pin drop my location to my shop and be like fucking
this is
come in and say it to me, but, you know, I used to be, and that'd be me like, oh, you fucking cunt. And then I was like, why am I giving these people my energy? You know, they want that. They want that reaction. They want you to feed into that. And they're winning then. So I don't read them anymore. Anything negative, or if something comes up, it's delete and block. That's my mentality. But this online bullying, all these comments, and like we were saying with, you know, flippant comments, all it takes is one comment on somebody's picture, you know, to give a negative tone, and that's it. You
just
know,
put something in the head, and it might be nothing.
Puts it in, and it's a trigger, and they're off. You know, and that's why you have to be so careful with your words. You know.
Yeah, especially like, you know, coaches and like yourself, role models.
You're role models.
You have to totally like watch what you say the whole time.
You've no idea how much it affects, and that goes the other way for positive stuff as well. They might be feeling like shit in their lives, and you just say one thing, and they're just like back up again, you know. So I've always been very aware of people like that. I always, even as crazy as I was in school, I was always the one that if I saw someone bullying somebody, I would fucking go for the bully. Like, I always stood up for people like that. And I'm a sarcastic motherfucker in my humour and my friends and all that, but I would never do it at the detriment of somebody feeling low, or I hate that shit when it's, you know, projected in that kind of way. And it's the same on our movie sets and stuff like that. I mean, that's just not tolerated at all. You know, you have to be super careful what you're saying, but it's for that exact reason, you know.
So, Baz, thanks for sharing that with us, man. I think that's a great message, especially at a time like this, to be
big time.
Like that, because like that, on camera, you're hard as fuck, bro, you know?
It's all acted.
You were saying about your production company,
Sherlock
Promotions.
Sherlock Productions. It's so funny explaining that to anybody outside of Ireland. You're like, listen, when you're Irish, Sherlock can mean anything. It can mean you've won the lotto or somebody has died. Sherlock! And the English, they're always like, Sherlock? And it's like, no, not Sherlock, it's Sherlock. So it's this whole exclamation thing. So yeah, that's the name of the production company, Sherlock Productions.
How'd that come about? Or how does something like that come about? Or how do you put it together? Or?
Yeah, it kind of, it comes about by necessity of making the short films. You need to, well, you don't need to, but, you know, have a production company behind you. So anybody can set up a production company and just name it and put it on your film. It doesn't really mean anything. So we registered Sherlock Productions last year only, and this is 4 years into us making our own stuff. And it just means that you are now eligible to look for funding and support from Screen Ireland and the council and stuff like that. So you'll find that nearly every filmmaker, Steven Spielberg or not, they always have their own production company, and then that's why you see so many production companies coming up at the credits, you know. So you have your production company, and then if you get funding off another production. So it's just your foundation of you own the rights to what you're making, basically.
You're putting your stamp on it.
You're putting your stamp on it, and it becomes important when you get onto the bigger work and all that you have your own production company, you know. And just even with Merrow, we actually, for that film, we went and bought our own equipment. For Reflection, we rented it and we hired people onto it, but we bought our own equipment and actually taught ourselves how to use it and how to do it. And, you know, just to challenge ourselves and just to see what we could do out of it. And then, like, so my wife Emma was the main DP on that. Like, so I shot some of it, but she shot most of it. I was mainly directing. And, like, she won awards then for the cinematography of it, like, you know, and she is just like, and that was her first thing, like learning to do it. But like she did 5 years fine art degree, and she's a tattoo artist as well, but she's mainly like a portrait artist and fashion designer. So she has all that kind of side of it, which is amazing, and she does like the editing as well. So our films, she can actually edit the stuff and all. So it just works really well. Then all of us together, you know.
Good team around.
Yeah, good team. Yeah.
Are there any time that you had your own idea in between things? Not that it sounds like you have too much time in between things, Baz.
Plenty of ideas.
Well, that's cool. If something came to you, or you have your own vision, no one, as you say, is gonna do it or see it the same way you do.
Definitely.
So that's a huge help.
Definitely. And without dwelling on the negative side of it, with other stuff that we've done, we left it in the hands of other people editing it and doing the stuff, and you're giving them notes, but it's not the same as you doing it, because it doesn't always translate. It's very frustrating then when they're not giving you your vision of what you want to do,
you want to change your mind. Nah, scrap that, go back.
Yeah. Now I do wreck my wife's head because I'll be standing over her shoulder going, no. This is I know what that is. But even during lockdown, we did a comedy series. It's called Just Messin', and it's like Sherlock Productions Just Messin' series, and it was comedy sketches that I wrote. And it was just us because we had the equipment. I wrote it, got our friends together, and just to be doing something during, you know, when everyone's feeling shit, just to give people a laugh, you know. So it's amazing to have the equipment and have the ability to just go, let's go make something. We did a lockdown short called Loot, and that did really well as well. Again, just a comedy thing about the whole. It was during the bread shortage, and the pasta shortage. That's what it's all about. And even with that, this is too much information, but my family dog died. We had him for 16 years, and we were fucking devastated. And me and Emma were just devastated. And I had this thing written, and it was the day after, and I was like, "Let's go fucking make this." And she's like, "What? Like, no, like we're devastated." I said, "Yeah, we need to fucking go do something, you know, and go out and doing it." And even though it was a comedy thing, it just got us out of the house, got it filmed, and did it, you know. So. Another funny one we did during the lockdown, we went a bit stir crazy, and we have a chinchilla. Do you know what a chinchilla is?
A small dog.
No, everyone thinks that. So that's like a chihuahua, but a chinchilla is like, he's a rodent, like, so he's like a giant squirrel mouse.
Yes.
His name is Lieutenant Columbo. We did basically a rip on Godzilla, so it's called Chinzilla.
I love it.
I'll show you afterwards. We built like a city, and we got a green screen, like 3D, and we shot it like an old 1930s movie. Like I did the voiceover and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, a bit off topic. But when you have the equipment, you're just like, yeah, let's fucking go. So we're in our kitchen, like trying to fucking bribe them with peanuts to get them to do the movie.
Over here, just try this building.
And we had like little toy soldiers and stuff. Yeah, but I'll show you that.
That's amazing.
That sounds hilarious.
So but yeah, it's great having the ability to have all that stuff.
There's a short I was watching on one of your Instagrams, I think it was. It's you're walking down an alleyway and there's an old man in front of you and the guard is around the corner.
Oh yeah, that was one of the Just Messing ones.
Was
it?
It was hilarious.
Yeah. And did you see the one with the serial daters one, where I'm a serial killer and I go on a first date and she's a serial dater and I'm a serial killer? That's another one.
I have to check that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What advice would you give to anybody that, you know, doesn't probably know where to start or something like that, or that might be struggling in acting and stuff like that, and might have got told maybe some of the negative comments by the people in authority that you told, would you advise them to go maybe start?
Don't fucking do it.
Don't do it. Get out now.
Yeah.
But as regards Sherlock Productions, to not knowing what to do to producing some of the stuff that you've produced, and been told some of the stuff that you've been told.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, there's so many negative voices of people telling you can't do it. I mean, even with us, with the Sherlock Productions and learning how to use the gear, it's just such a progressive thing that I never in a million years thought that I would go that side of things with it, you know, even the directing or any of that kind of stuff. But what I would say is the technology is so readily available at the moment that you can shoot a really fucking good quality piece on your iPhone, you know?
Yeah.
There's a famous director, Soderbergh. He retired and he came out of retirement to challenge himself, and he did a movie called Unsane. If you haven't seen it, it's fucking brilliant. Unsane, yeah. And he shot the whole thing with his iPhone. It was the iPhone 11, and you want to fucking see it, and you tell me you think that's a fucking iPhone that he shot it on. So my point is, it doesn't matter what equipment you have, all the technology is available to you. Write something, get your friends together who have the same vision of wanting to be an actors or want to be on directors or whatever it is, and go out and start shooting something and learn from your mistakes that way and build yourself up. Get on, there's so many productions and sets that will have you on there as a runner, or you know, even if you're making tea, like any job, you know, get on, get the experience, you make so many contacts, build it up that way. On the acting side of it, you know, that's the best, getting yourself on camera, but if you can, try and get some training, you know, the likes of Bow Street or anything like that. But it's just finding like-minded people, and even Facebook groups of actors, and they're always looking for people to collaborate and, you know, build up student films. They're always looking for people as well, and you learn your chops on those, and it's the best experience ever, because honestly nothing can prepare you from going on a professional set. Nothing. No amount of training. It's the same with martial arts. You can train, put yourself on the night in a ring. Damn,
nothing like training.
What do I do?
It went all so well. Right now.
Because on Into the Badlands, and I'd been on stuff, you know, and I've been on TV shows and RTE and like programs and all that kind of stuff, and I've done stand-up comedy, which is fucking terrifying. I've been on live TV, you know, so really stressful too. That was the worst experience for me. I was like a rabbit in the headlights. I was fucking terrified. And I swore to myself from that day I would never let myself get that terrified again. And I haven't, and you know, something I had to overcome. But like, you can't prepare for anything, because I was given the script 2 weeks before that was due to start filming, which is about average on a big network show like that. And I was obsessing over the script. Like, you could be talking to me here and I was running the script, and that's the worst thing you can do. Talk about that another time. But like, obsessing over it. And then they couldn't get a prop working, and the day before they changed the whole script. So they sent me a new script, and I was spun out. I was like, how the fuck, I'm after spending 2 weeks, how am I going to learn this? And then I was getting the old script mixed up with the new script, and I was psyching myself out. So I got to the set, and I'd already kind of psyched myself out, and they were like, oh, they're just setting up, we'll come get you in an hour. So I was in the full costume, the whole lot, and I'd get up and I'd run the lines in the mirror to myself, which is something you should never do as well. And I'd have them perfect. I'd sit down and I go, I'll do it again, get up, nothing, couldn't remember them. And I was like back and forth. So long story short, 7 hours I was left in the trailer with that, because there was a problem down on set. So 7 fucking hours of me psyching myself out. So by the time I got down onto the set and I was introduced to Nick Frost, and James Marshall was the director, he's directed Walking Dead and all these Daniel Wu, Jackie Chan's fucking things, and I was like, yeah, this is Baz. And I was like, okay, we're really running behind, so Baz, that's your mark there, and we're gonna go for one. And so I was down from 7 hours, I was down on set, and I was like, I'd say a minute and a half, and I was there, the biggest camera in your face you've ever seen, and the first scene was a big fight scene in a pit, and there was about 300 extras, and if you mess up, you are messing up every one of their day, and they're already late, you know, and I was just like, what the fuck? And like, I did the first take and it was shit, did the second take, it was shit. And then I think the director saw that I was struggling, fair play to him, like, as he's quite a harsh, you know, director, and he was just like, I know they changed the script, and you know, I prefer it the way it was, but we couldn't get this working, so just loosely, just stick around this, and you know, it's fine. But he gave me the freedom of not being fixated on this, you know. And I did the third take, and I did the words exactly, but it was just him giving me that freedom. And I did it the way I wanted to do it. And afterwards, Nick Frost moment, he was like, fucking hell, man, that was fucking killer. But it was just that little bit of freedom, you know?
Yeah.
But that night, I was like so exhausted, you know, when you get the adrenaline rush, and I was just like, I'm never going to feel like that again. That was a promise I made myself. Sorry, I'm just rambling here.
No, this is great, Baz, honestly. Thanks very much. And I'm sure it's helping anybody that might
want to
get into it or get out of it.
Yeah. It's just a different experience. Even on Keane, it's a big set, you know, and it's a lot of people, and the pressure and you need to know how to deal with that pressure. And I meet a lot of actors, and they've done loads of student shorts and they've done short films, and it's kind of a fun environment, and all that, and they're like, yeah, this is fine, this is easy, and you're kind of, you don't want to be a dickhead, but you're just like, step onto I don't want to use the term a real set, but a big set,
A big production.
and it's a whole different ball game. There's none of this like, oh fuck it, should we go for another take? It is set, you're blocked, and the pressure is like massively on, but it's all part of the game. You have to deal with it. It's scary. I have a love-hate with it. Like, I fucking hate it and I love it.
At the same time,
Because it's terrifying. Like, it is terrifying. But it's fun.
I can imagine.
So yeah, don't do it. Just put anyone off.
Yeah. No.
That's great, Baz. I mean, where would you hear that? You wouldn't hear that you wouldn't hear that kind of advice anywhere. So thanks very much for sharing that.
It's
Even
just,
though we're not actors or anything like that, but
it's just an honest, from my perspective, it's just an honest,
Your experience
because
is
you can
everything,
bullshit and be like, shit, it's great.
comes easy.
I
I only do one take.
Yeah. But that's the whole thing. And just with the whole Bow Street philosophy, it's like, never over prepare. The best bit of advice ever I got actually in Bow Street was that the script doesn't own you, you own the script. So see, the way I was saying, I was fixating on, I need to know this, I need to know this.
master this.
If you kind of come at it from an angle of, this is already mine, the words are already there, I just need to be able to say them, and it just trains your brain into another way. It takes all the pressure off of, I need to know this, to, I already know this is grand. And when you relax, if you can just relax like that when you're acting, and that's why you see De Niro and all, you see him and it's just like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's when you see people and they're like, and they're tense, and it's not how normally, because it's not natural, and you pick up on that as a human. You're like, that's not how. If I was talking to you, I wouldn't be talking to you like that. And it's just, it's learning to do nothing. It's learning not how to act, and that's the toughest thing to fucking do under a pressure environment,
Yeah.
Because you start talking in a way that you wouldn't normally talk, because you feel like you need to act.
Yeah, different tone of voice and everything.
Everything.
What's going on here?
But if you watch any of the greats, they do nothing.
Yeah.
They fucking do nothing. And that's why they're so good. And doing that, you think, oh, that's easy, I can do that. Put a camera in your face now and do that.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Yeah. De Niro actually says it. He was like, best bit of acting advice, just do nothing. And you watch him and you're like, yeah, you actually don't do anything. You're fucking brilliant, And Kieran Lyons in Kin, he's the same, That 2.5 page monologue
In Kin,
and I was reading the script and I was like, I wonder how he's feeling the night before. Like, all the pressure's on. He's talking to the whole gang. He has 2.5 pages of this big fucking monologue. He's stressing out. He arrived on. I did his first scene, and he could have been talking to the local milkman. He was hands in his pockets. He was and he did so little, but he did so much. He was fucking amazing. I learned more off him in years of training in 10 minutes, the way he approached it, and that's the difference between a veteran actor, and he knows exactly how the camera is picking him up, and he doesn't need to do anything, so yeah, it's a good experience.
Can you tell us anything about, well, it's great that you continue to learn, that you're not at a plateau where it's like, oh, I've got this now, and that you can actually just watch somebody, that you don't need that formal education, that you can pick up on what people are doing. That's class.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about, I know it's fairly new, we don't want to ruin the show or anything, but can you tell us anything about your part in Kin or anything like that?
Kin, yeah, I mean, I only have a small part in it. Jed Delaney, local drug dealer. Of course. So yeah, I was in 2 episodes of it, and it's Louise Kiley, the casting director. She's been amazing for me through my career, and she's somebody that's followed my career and pushes me for parts that, even though the Kin one is a drug dealer one, she pushed me for other parts that I wouldn't necessarily get seen for and stuff like that. So all credit to her. She was the one that put me forward for it. And if season 2 goes ahead, I'll hopefully be back in a bigger role. That's just to be decided, what it is. But it's just, all these little things are just kind of doorways into trying to get you to the bigger stages, yeah. And it's amazing to get on a network show like that. And Dermot Gogan's the director. He's just an amazing person to work with, to connect with, and I've been talking to him afterwards, which is amazing. He's been giving me advice on my movie stuff, which is unheard of for, you know, a big director to offer help and all that. That's the thing about the industry, it's very pigeonholed as well. Nobody really wants to help because they think it's a competition, you know, oh, you're going to steal my role. But so yeah, he's been amazing, and watching him work, and for me as a director, and I'm learning all the time. I'm watching how they do things and I'm picking up on things, and you know, so it's all a learning curve. And it's the same as martial arts. If you think that oh, that's it, I know martial arts now, you know, if you stop evolving and wanting to progress, you might as well give up, you know. It's the same with the acting stuff. So but yeah, hopefully I'll get back on that. But I've loads of stuff actually coming out now that's been like, I'm going to a premiere next week actually, a film called Dredges that's aimed for Netflix, and I filmed that 2.5 years ago. So that's how long these productions can take before the edit is done, you know. So I'm excited to see it because I can't fucking remember what the hell's going on with it, you know. But I remember enjoying it. It's good. It's like a gangster one as well, of course. But there is a few things, and then I shot one called Pulcinella during the summer. It's Danny Patrick's new one, and that was just an amazing experience. And I got to work with Jamie Winston, who's Ray Winston's daughter, and like loads of amazing actors, and that's really cool. And then he's actually cast me in his new film now, where I'm actually playing a priest.
Okay.
So, because he said it to me on the set of Pulcinella, and he was like, he explained the concept to me, and he's like, I want you to play priest. And I was like, have you fucking seen me? You know?
Well, the priest has a background in drug dealing, right?
yeah, of course. But like, it's set in the 1900s, but when he explained to me, and then when I saw the script, I see, you know, where he's got, it's an exorcist priest, and it's a werewolf movie. But just getting to play a role like that, because he sees the vision, some people can't see the vision of it, you know, and he's like, it doesn't matter with the tattoos, we're going to tie it in this way. And he actually created a whole backstory as to why you have the tattoos. Now, some of them that are modern will be covered by like burn marks, or, you know, there's going to be this whole prosthetic side of it as well. But it's cool that when you get people who are open-minded that can see potential in investing it into some kind of other character that's not just a gangster.
Can we talk about that a little bit? We probably touched on it a little bit already with you, Baz, but I'm sure you get it all the time. But body image and the tattoos and stuff like that, I mean, you know, what could you tell us? I mean, I think you're like, they're cool as anything. You know what I mean? Although I wouldn't have the gusto to maybe get one myself. Although I did ask my mum. She just asked me would I basically let me do whatever I wanted. But she just said, "Can't never get a tattoo." And like this year, given everything I've been through for this place, I asked her to get a tattoo, and I hope to get that one day on my chest. But you must come across amount of shy having tattoos and stuff like that. I'd imagine being in social situations with people with a few drinks on them and stuff like that. Yeah. Just becomes a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, and like I've talked about it quite a bit, and it's like I completely understand people saying, well, you fucking did it to yourself, so deal with it, you know. On the flip side of it, I always look on the philosophical side of it, of that's society's mentality of, you know, you can't get a job working in a bank if you look like that. Yeah. Why the fuck not? If you have the qualifications, the way you look should not determine what place you have in society or job you have, you know. And yeah, for me with the tattoos, it was very much a punk rock ethos, rebelling against society, not giving a fuck, and never asked anybody's opinion or permission for tattooing. I just went and got it. I knew that, like, my mom was quite artistic, and you know, she was kind of fine with it. She did always say, not the face, not the neck, not the hands, you know, as mothers do. And then I know that my dad wasn't a big fan of it. He never said a word until I got the star under my eye. Is that the right side? Did I point it out?
There's a star there, right?
Yeah. So yeah, he freaked out at that because his concern was that you were never going to get a job and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But that was my commitment to the industry at that time. I knew that I was going to be piercer, and that was my commitment to it. Because I got that when I was 17, like, and you know, imagine being a fucking dad and your 17-year-old kid coming home with a face tattoo. I'd kick the fucking face. So I completely understand it. But it's funny, like, now he'd be out playing golf and he'd be telling all his buddies about kin and it's like a complete reversal. But Yeah, so I completely understand, you know, people saying they did it for self. As I said earlier, never did it, and not in a cliched way, but I never did it for other people's approval. I did it for myself. Everything that's on me, whether it tells a direct story, it has a link to a story. There's people who've tattooed me that are no longer with us, that are dead, and where I was, a lot of martial arts stuff, a lot of music, like my dog on my leg, and family stuff, and you know. So it's like a personal journey. I never set out to be covered in tattoos. Like I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna get fucking covered. I was just, if I wanted something, I just went and got it. But now I look back and I'm such a big baby now. Like I used to be so brave. The pain and the stuff, I'm just like, nah, I couldn't be fucking bothered. You know? I used to get tattooed every week, you know. So, but yeah, it's just personal expression, and I don't know. Some people can hold all that inside of them, and just for me, I just needed to and it was about standing out from the herd and the sheep mentality and the whole, you know, society trying to pigeonhole you into it. So it was definitely a rebellion side of it. And I kind of miss that about the tattoo industry now, because it's come so mainstream and commercial, which is amazing for business, you know, and it has progressed, and you know the quality is great and all that kind of stuff. But I miss walking into a tattoo shop and being told to get the fuck out, you know, that whole like it was like a fucking just bikers and like, you know, rebellion side of it. I love that, because that's, you know, what I wanted to express for myself. And now it's completely different. It's like, oh, how can we help you today? And you're not allowed to call them customers, you have to call them clients and all that. It's like, fuck that.
Customer, what do you want?
Yeah. So that's it for me. But yeah, you do have to deal with a lot of shit, a lot of comments, and as I've talked about before, I'm used to it, but when you're out with your family and your friends and they're not used to it, and they're like, how the fuck are you putting up with that? And I try to block out a lot of it. When I'm walking on streets, I just keep my head down, walk along. And as I said as well, and not like a hard man thing or anything like that, I will put up with curiosity, but I will not put up with disrespect. Like, not fucking... And that unfortunately leads to verbal and physical altercations, especially when I lived in Dublin. Every day on the Lewis, there wouldn't be one day that there wouldn't be one altercation, you know. And that's like a daily battle, and you're kind of preparing yourself every day for that, and that's not good for you, you know. So I do try and avoid human contact as much as possible. Unless I'm gigging with my bands, it would rarely see me out in a pub or a club, because I just know the way it's going to go, you know.
Someone's going to pass a remark, or
someone's going to, and I like I said, curiosity's fine, and asking all the questions that I've been asked over and over again, and I'll answer them like a robot. My friends laugh because I have the same answers, because the same questions.
Script.
I really do, you know, and I know how to, and I'm quite friendly about it and all that. But then I have a very dark, quick side that goes south very quick, and I know myself, I just cannot put up with that disrespect thing, you know.
Like, I'm still human. Like,
I'm still human, and it's not who I want to be anymore, you know. And I just know I've got a wicked fucking temper, like, and I just don't want to be in those situations.
So you'd rather take yourself out.
Yeah,
I'm not arsed with that.
Not arsed with that. And like when I was out in LA and all that, it's like I would go to bars out there, and because I'm way more relaxed. It's a very Irish mentality thing here. Or when I'm in London, nobody gives a fuck what you look like in London, and you know. But in Ireland, it's just that Irish
so far
thing.
behind,
It's just, and it's in our DNA, because we're very sarcastic and slaggy. Like that's fine, you know. But it's just, if somebody is different in any regard, or you're choosing a different path, people don't like change. They don't like the outsiders, you know. And it's that mob mentality of trying to force their projections onto you, you know. And that's the whole thing about my ethos is, as you touched on earlier, like you know, sexuality, you know, anything that you want to be and you're suppressing it and hiding it for the fear of what other people are going to say to you. That's a sad life to live, like, you know. Yeah. Because on your deathbed, are you really going to give a shit? And you're going to live, we have a very short lifespan on this, and to actually like listen to other people's projections or condemning you for your decisions in life, whatever it may be. It might be a business decision, or it may be whatever you want to do. You don't have to answer.
You're only here once.
You don't have to answer to other people, you know. And if we can kind of, I do this thing where if it gets too much, and this is fucking weird, but I mentally bring myself out of planet Earth and I look down at this rolling rock, and we're all here with our emotions and all this shit we go through and worrying about what people fucking look like. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, people just, they cannot fathom how crazy like this fucking life is. And I do that and I look down and I just think, isn't it so ridiculous, like the shit that we get hung up on, and how like society is, you know, determined the more money you have, the better you're going to be. If you look like this, we will reward you. And it comes from school. It comes from, there's a gold star for staying inside the lines. You know? And it's this, you don't realise, but it's this kind of moulding you as a society to be. And then when people start going out of that mould, they don't know what to do with them. Because they're like, hold on a minute, we want you to be like, get back in your lane, you know? So yeah, I do that as again, like philosophical. It's just like fucking, you look down and you see us rolling through space on this rock, and we are like getting worried about somebody that has an ear piercing. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous, isn't it? Like, you know, and just humans, just they can't sometimes get out of that. This is the way they're conditioned. They're in their box and they can't think any bigger than that.
Molded
You know?
that way, as you said, yeah, from school, like
from school, it's like, it's that reward system, you know, and it's like, you don't realise it, but it's just that conditioning to kind of push it. I have a tattoo across my throat. It's one of my band's, my favourite band's songs, and it's The Illusion of Safety. And basically the song is about, you're born, you go to school, you go to college, you get a good job, you get married, and that's the illusion of a safe life, because that's how society wants you to progress. You do this, and that's your life, and you pay your taxes, we're good with you, you know? And it's a fucking illusion. There's no safety in that, you know? And everybody's is conditioned differently, you know? But just me as an artistic thinker, I sometimes just can't get my head around the ridiculousness of how we get so wound up to little trivial things, and then you think it's the end of your life. You think, fucking, like, this is it, like, oh, fucking, and then you just step back and you're like, it's so fucking ridiculous. We're all gonna die.
You really don't care.
You know,
Like, yeah.
do whatever you can do to make you happy, and just try and twist it around to a positive, you know.
It's gonna be forgotten about in someone else's
It's
head.
not the end of the world. Yeah, like, I have a friend who's living in Canada at the moment, and he's going through a thing that was said on social media, and he was suicidal over this. For a thing that was said on social media that wasn't true. Like, I've known him for 20 years, like, and he confides in it. It was not true. And I had his mother and his sister ring me, really worried about him. He was suicidal, and I was like, Anthony, like, this is like a fart in the wind, that next week they'll be on to the next thing, and he's fucking suicidal over this. You know what I mean? This is we've gotten bogged down in this fucking thing about worrying about what other people think of us in these comments and all this shit, you know? And if you can kind of step back and be like, nah, life is way bigger than that. It doesn't matter.
Picture
You know?
here.
Yeah, your family and your real friends are the
Yeah.
only ones that really fucking matter. Everyone else's opinions can go fuck themselves. And it moves on to the next thing as well.
Yeah, that's it. And it's always gonna keep going. Or
Yeah.
everything's gonna be forgotten about.
That's the thing.
Eventually.
You know, yeah, it'll just keep
Yeah.
rolling on and rolling on.
Whether I'm
and
here or not, like,
it'll keep
the world
going.
is
So
just-
why not just make the best of it and do actually what makes you happy every day, and just get up and do your things that you want to do, and don't be fucking worrying about what other people are thinking. It's hard because the judgment, it is fucking hard, you know. You think you need to, like, you know, stay in your lane, but if you can just start to condition yourself, which is what I've been doing for the last few years, I'm so much fucking happier, you know, just not worrying about what they're going to think, because they're going to have their opinions anyway.
But anyway, whether you do good or bad, they
Or
talk
bad.
about you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's a lose-lose situation in that,
It
you
really
know.
is,
You know.
You might as well do the thing making you happy and let them judge that.
100%. I just can't understand why people, though, we all have opinions. It's natural order. Why they need to project them to other people?
Yeah, keep it to yourself.
I wonder, like, the mentality of people coming up to me somewhere and telling me that I think it's disgusting. What are you doing? You're like, why would you fucking care what a stranger? I could never care what a stranger was doing unless it was affecting me personally.
I
Why
couldn't
would you
care,
care?
yeah.
You know, I remember this girl coming up to me a few years ago in a pub, and she was like, "Oh my god, that is absolutely disgusting. You've destroyed yourself." And then my wife was like, "Yeah, I think your Oompa Loompa fake tan is absolutely disgusting." You know, turning it around. And then I was saying to Emma, I understand, but, like, that's just projecting back negativity on what she looks like, that she's come over to me, but never in a million years would my wife go up to her and say that to her, even though it may be something that she was thinking, you know. So I don't know, humans are strange creatures, so
they're going to continue to be strange for a long time.
exactly.
So I'm just thinking and hoping that Baz, that's a really profound and genuine, sincere message there, and I just hope any teenage boy or teenage girl that might be in school or suffering from that kind of social bullying or social angst kind of draws a positive message from that, and that it is okay, and it's actually pretty cool for you to be yourself, no matter what that is.
And
the funny thing is,
there is people out there like all of us, like doing things that are unordinary. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Carl never would have thought we had a podcast, and we're just, why not?
We've got Baz Black on our third show. What?
All downhill from here. No, but and that's the thing. Even with, like, you know, you guys doing a podcast, you're gonna have people go, why the fuck are they doing a podcast? And that can be like, oh, should we be doing a podcast? These are the kind of people that will try and bring you down because you're trying to do something different, you know? Like, I know for a fact I have it as well with the stuff I'd be doing, you know, and people going, oh, what the fuck, why is he doing that? And it's like, why not? If you want to do it, try and just not think about what other people are going to do. Just fucking go and do it, you know?
Like, ran into it a lot of times, like some lads saying, you're mad, why would you bother?
Yeah.
Doing it? Because I fucking want it.
Yeah.
What's the point in not
just
doing
doing it? And then you will resonate with people. That's the thing, though. You're always going to have the resonation with positive side of it, you know. And that's why I said I do the videos, because you always have that, and you don't know who the hell's watching or you're reaching. You just don't know. Unfortunately, the negative voices are the ones that come true, though. And you can have 100 positive comments, and it's that one fucking negative comment. And you're like, that's the one.
Right, the fields.
Yeah.
But do you know what the funny thing is, Baz? I'm sure you've probably seen this as well over relatively, like, we're young men, but I'm sure that we've seen it in our experience that you know, the ones that do have that courage or do like put up with that assault, if you like, from society, that do be themselves, they end up attracting you know, success or that idea or that vision. It all comes to fruition in the end.
Yeah.
At some point.
Definitely, yeah. And like even like only recently, I'd read it like a few years ago, but like books like The Secret, have you ever heard of those?
I have.
And it's all philosophy, you know, you put out positive, you get positive back, you put out negative, you put out, and it was something like we have 65,000 thoughts a day and 44,000 of them are proven to be negative thoughts, and it's retraining your brain. And when you read something like that and you're picking up on the negativity of yourself and other people, especially the Irish people, you're like, wow, it's so fucking negative. Even if it's done in a kind of a sarcastic way or whatever, it's still negative, you know. But you know, books like that and applying that philosophy, and it's stupid, you know. I read The Secret, and it was one of the most famous examples is Jim Carrey, and one of the things is you write yourself a check, and every day you tell yourself in the mirror, and the whole thing is you can't be like, I want, it's you already have. So you already have the feeling. You may not have gotten it yet, but you already have it. Yeah. So he wrote himself a check for 5 million, put it on his bathroom cabinet, and every morning he was like, I can't believe I'm 5 million, this is fucking amazing, I've like 5 million, do what I want. And he used to drive to the top of Hollywood every night, and he'd thank Hollywood. He'd be like, I can't believe I'm a star. This was before he couldn't even get an audition. Yeah. Nobody would see him. They were like, they didn't want to know about him, and he'd be like, I can't believe I've made it in Hollywood, this is amazing. And he'd drive home and he'd condition his brain to feel like he already had that feeling. And that's the whole thing about The Secret. And he gave himself a timeline of the 5 million, and it was a year to the date that he had posted it. And he said it was the day before Thanksgiving, and he got Dumb and Dumber, and it was for 5 million. And that was a day before his thing. And he'd all year, you know, just manifesting it is what they call it. You put out the positivity. And you can call it what you want, you know, it can be hippie trippy or whatever. And when I reread it, there's 3 mantras that you give. So 3 things that you want to change, or you want, you know, to include into your life. And one of those was changing my agent, which is a scary thing because it's hard to get an agent, but just wasn't happy with them. And the other one was to get onto a feature film that was filming for a long time, you know, so a good role into it. And then the other one, which was a bit far-fetched, but it was like Cannes Film Festival, the biggest film festival, was to either get my own movie into that or be in a movie that was at the Cannes Film Festival. So they were my mantras, and I just spent like the weeks just doing them, as stupid as it was. so a week after I set my deadline, I changed my 2 agents, and one of my new agents got me on that feature film 2 days after I signed with her. And so that was 2 of the things. Now I wasn't thinking, oh, this is the secret. This was just things that was happening in my life. And then it wasn't until one of the nights we were filming, I was talking to the director at dinner, and we were just chatting. And I was like, so what's the plan for the film? And he was like, keeping it on the down low, but Cannes Film Festival, that's where it's going to be. And I was just like, it's just the 3 things. I was like, fucking hell, they are the 3 things that I was manifesting, putting out into the universe. And you can call it coincidence, call it what you want, but it's just that kind of putting out the positivity and getting it back, you know. So yeah, it's interesting. It interests me these days to do that kind of stuff.
Class, man.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, Baz.
It's cool to hear about it. Just like, you know.
Got
Yeah,
so
it
many
actually
things to write
works.
in the bathroom mirror now.
Yeah. I want to be sound.
Whole list. Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, it is. It's you know, when I read it 10 years ago, I was very like, oh fuck, this is a load of shite, you know. And I did it, but when I reread it this time, I did it with more of an open mind, you know. And it's just catching yourself with. There's chapters on like the negativity, and it's the whole. You wake up in the morning and you stub your toe, and then you go and you spill your coffee. You go, oh, fuck, it's gonna be one of those fucking days. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those days. You are telling yourself that it's gonna be one of those
And
days.
then it is one of them days.
One of those days. Yeah.
See, I was right!
It is. That's the law of attraction, you know.
Yeah.
But if you try and keep it positive, and you know, this is gonna happen, I'm gonna have a good day, blah blah, and just these mantras, keeping it just puts you on a positive. And then it's catching yourself with the negatives, and fuck me, the amount of negatives that we do. Or you're talking to people and they're like, yeah, I fucking did this, and then he fucking did this, and it's like a negative thing instead of a positive, you know. So it's just interesting.
The last question that we have, thanks so much again for your time and everything, but one of the things we wanted to ask you about this new film that you're working on, Dublin Crust. Word on the street is that it's a blend between Train Spotting meets The Commitments, and there's a great buzz around it. What could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's going to be our debut feature film. So everything we've done up until this has been short films, and I was saving this story for a feature film. So I've been building up to this story, because it is loosely based on punk bands that I've been in, the music scene. It's something very close to my heart. Predominantly Mongo Horn, you know. It's we have Eddie and Andy from Mongo Horn, you know.
Shout out to Andy and Eddie.
Woo!
From the very start, it was never going to be replaced with real actors.
Never.
No, but like, if you've met Eddie, nobody can fucking replicate Eddie, like, you know. And Andy as well. And so I wrote it with those guys in mind. And when you're writing a script, it's always great to have people in mind that you know how they're going to portray the characters. It makes it a lot easier for you in the writing of it. So yeah, I mean, it is based like loosely on Mongo Horn and all that. I had to tone it down a little bit. If anybody knows a Mongo Horn, a bit crazy, so we have to remember the commercial appeal of it. And predominantly though, it is about, you know, a punk band and punk music, but it's about redemption of character, basically. And you don't need to like punk music or music even to like this film. It's about the characters and investing in their stories. And just like loosely, the whole story of it is that Dublin Crust, so Crust were a punk band in the 90s, and they were never famous, but they were notorious, which is what Mongo Horn were, you know. We're never famous, but we packed out every gig we played.
Yeah.
And then it revisits the band 10 years later, after the band split up, and you see that their lives have all been fractured. So where they are at their lives, they're miserable without the band, without the music. And I myself played a drummer, Bonehead, in it, and I'm the reason why the band broke up. I started doing heroin, falling apart, and that was the reason for it. So it starts with me coming out of prison 10 years later, and I'm trying to reform the band. And Eddie is having none of it. He hates me for breaking up the band in the first place, but he's miserable in where he is with his life, and so is everyone else. And it's about me trying to reform the band and repair the bonds that have been broken. But the whole way through the film, my intentions aren't exactly clear as to why I want to get the band together, and there's loads of little things going on and an accumulation of it. So yeah, that's what it's about. And I drew on all my experiences of the music scene and the gigs and all that kind of stuff. But it is really, and it's like it's a black comedy as well. You know, it's got comedy in it, it's got drama in it, it's got a bit of heart in it. And yeah, so it won the Dublin Screenwriters Festival. So that allowed me to pitch to the bigger production companies, and we're just in the process of funding, which is the difficult bit of it. And we have Joe Rooney on board, which is a nice
Father
name.
Damo.
Yeah, Father Damo. It's a nice name.
Shout out to Joe Rooney, no disrespect, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and we have an amazing producer, Nicole Duff, on board, and with our own production company. So we're just calling in all the connections that we built up over the years, and even like we have St. Vincent de Paul are sponsoring all the costumes for the film, which is amazing. We have the Red Door, which is a drug rehabilitation charity, because there's that aspect of it in the film, and they're based in Drogheda. They're coming on board supporting us. Joe Rooney is doing like a stand-up fundraising gig for us, so everyone's kind of coming on board, and businesses, and just to make it happen, because there's so much that goes into doing it properly, because it's going to be shot to Netflix standards. It's not going to be a Mickey Mouse job, you know. And we have funding applications into the bigger agencies, but sometimes you have to do it a little bit indie and make your own path that way.
That's right, yeah. Well, it sounds like a great script. It actually sounds like a great movie, to be honest. Like, I mean, you don't have to say too much about it to get excited about it. Genuinely and sincerely, I think it's a great idea, and I think there's a real tourist like for a great Irish film again. Yeah,
it's kind of it's anything I write or anything to do. I always start with the question of, what do I want to see? What do I want to watch in a movie, you know? And for me, there's nothing worse than watching a movie where you've no emotional investment into the characters. And I haven't done my job right. By the end of the movie, what actually happens in this movie and what happens to them, if you don't care, there's no point to the movie, you know? So you need to build the character and invest in them. And sometimes you watch a movie and you don't realise why you don't like or you don't hate it, but it's usually because you don't give a fuck if they live or they die or what happens to them, you know? You're just like, oh, there's explosions, whatever, you know? And that's okay, you can have brain dead movies, that's fine, but for me, like this kind of, and just the comedy aspect of it as well. And so we shot like a teaser concept trailer a few weeks ago, and that's going to be out on social media next week. So people
where exactly can we find it, Baz? Like where we keep an eye out so people watching?
Yeah. So what the teaser concept trailer for is for our investors to see a concept of what you're actually portraying, to see the characters, because a video like that is worth 1,000 emails, you know, for somebody to see it. So it's going to be attached to our GoFundMe campaign, so we're going to be doing that as well to raise the funds for it so people can see the video of it. But it'll be posted on all my social media, so anything with Baz Black on it, you'll find the video. And it's just, from the rough edit, it's really cool just to see what the lads have brought to it.
There is a Dublin Crust page, isn't it?
Yeah, there is. So yeah, there's an Instagram.
You can follow that, guys. Yeah.
Dublin Crust.
Dublin Crust. Here
that way.
So yeah, you can see that there, and yeah, when you write something like a script and you write it with these people in mind, to see them bring it to life is the best feeling ever.
I'd say it's great.
I could say, yeah.
And not an egotistical thing, but Andy with his scenes, like, and I wrote it because I know what Andy's like, and I know that he's just a genuinely funny guy, like, and he had the whole crew like physically laughing when he was doing a scene. So, and sometimes when you're writing a script and somebody's reading it and they don't know what they're like, sometimes it doesn't translate where you're like that, but I know exactly how he's gonna look when he says that and does that, you know. And he did. He nailed it. So yeah, that's just a little cool thing that we did, just to show people what we're going for, and to try and get people on board to make it happen, because it's gonna take an army to make it happen, because it's fucking serious money, you know, to do it properly, and to, you know, not to do a Mickey Mouse job. And we wanted that so we can sell it to Netflix or Amazon Prime or any of the bigger pictures. And then we're writing all our own material songs for it as well, you know, to bring that aspect to it. And yeah, pretty happy with it, and we've been building up to it for a while. So.
And how far would you be into? How far into the future would you be? I mean, you're going to shoot this whole thing regardless, yeah.
Oh yeah, so March is the schedule and date it's happening. Like yeah, it's so we start filming in March. So regardless of what happens, that's happening. I mean, you know, even with the funding application and all, we have a private investor on board, the business is on board. So regardless of whatever money happens, it's happening. You know, yeah. There's different ways we can go about different stuff, and like I said, we've built up so many connections over the years, and people have been great already. But yeah, it is going to happen, and I just can't wait to get started on it and bring it all.
I'd say so. I can't wait to see it. Like I mean, it's a great idea. And like I said, it's hard not to get excited about that. And I think the time couldn't be better. And I think the concept is perfect, and it's a great take on things. So yeah, I look forward to seeing that process.
Yeah, it's cool, and just even to see them together, you know, the band and the girlfriends, and just from writing it on paper to see them, you know, when we did that photo shoot, I was just like, yeah, it just looks right. And then when we were shooting the trailer, just to see how they all interacted with each other, and it's amazing, you know, just to see it. So I just say, yeah, I can't wait to.
It's the vision coming true, really.
Yeah. And we're very much outsiders in the industry coming in, you know, it is quite cliquey, the industry and all that. So we are very much outsiders. So we do have to think outside the box, and we do have to do fundraising campaigns and, like, you know, comedy nights and all that to raise the money. But if that's what we need to do, that's what we need to do. It's just very hard to break in. Even though the films have done well, the short films, the awards and all, you're still, you know,
still a click,
and you're still on the outside.
Still on the border of it.
Exactly, yeah. But again, it's like what we were talking about. This whole thing. Any of the ones that have said no or turned a nose up at it or anything like that, I'm like, all right, let's fucking show you then. And I'm gonna make it, and then they're gonna be like, fuck. You know, that's my motivation. You know, I love doing that to people. Alright, that's fine. Yeah.
I'll change your mind for you.
I'll fucking show you. So yeah, it's exciting. We have a few other named actors that I can't say at the moment that we're in
expressed interest. Yeah,
we're in talks with. Yeah, so
even more excitement.
Yeah, we're close with one of them. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I'll send them down here, and you'll get them over the line. Listen,
this is what you're doing.
Yeah. So you can make a cameo in the film. You two lads.
Yeah. Why not?
Wouldn't say no. What'd be gas as well is to see those Easter eggs and things like that. I mean, I'm sure that there's a few mutual friends of ours as well that I'm sure are like dotted around.
There are, So Collie being one of them. He's
can he be a barman somewhere? Yeah. That'd be great.
He's wormed his way in there. But yeah, there's a few familiar faces that you'll see popping up.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and the Easter egg thing, I love doing that with my films. Like stupid things like in Reflection, you'd never fucking see it in a million years. But there's an apartment scene. My book like is on the bookshelf. Like, you know, all these little things. So yeah, and in the Dublin Crust script, there's loads of that.
Loads of Easter eggs. That's cool. Yeah. Very cool.
It's just for myself, my own vanity.
It's hard.
But yeah, tickets to the premiere for you guys anyway. So
thanks very much, Baz.
Yes.
Yes. Excuse me, get dressed up, Jay. But no, we're beyond fucking happy to promote it. So again, Dublin Crust. I mean, keep your eyes peeled for this one. It has all the hallmarks of you know, a great Irish classic.
Check it out, Facebook, Instagram,
and anything else we share.
Yeah, so appreciate it.
So I guess that's kind of it, Baz. I think we've held you up for long enough. Thanks very much for being on our third podcast. It's been emotional.
Sorry I talk so much shite.
Not at all, are you joking? This is brilliant. But you know, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you. We have this like little segment in our show where we get people to read out jokes, if that's quite okay. It's just like, I give one to you and I give one to Jay, and
gives me no choice.
They're fairly PC, and I would love to see how an actor reads some of these jokes.
I'll go for that.
You want to do voices as well? You could. You don't know, but
I love dad jokes, so.
okay, alright then. One for Baz, and these are pretty terrible, alright? So we'll let Baz go first.
Though I enjoy the sport of tennis, I could never date a tennis player. Love means nothing to them.
Oh, I felt that, Jay. Did you?
That's a good one.
Silence.
Like
Thanks, talk about it. Cheers, Baz.
Right. Man walks into a surgery and says, "Doc, I can't stop singing the green, green grass of Home by Tom Jones. Is this sort of thing common?" Doc says, "It's not unusual."
Thanks for the singing, Jay. We appreciate it.
I went into mode there.
Cheers, bro. Appreciate it. I only have 2 more after this, so the pain will soon be over.
I've cut that singing out. It's no use.
2 eggs, bacon and a sausage walk into a bar and say to the barman, "Give us a couple of cold ones." Barman says, "Sorry, we don't serve breakfast."
Do you know what I mean? Excluded again.
Yeah.
It shouldn't matter whether you're breakfast or not.
2 cows in a field. One says to the other, "Have you heard about the mad cow disease that's going around?" The other says, "Yeah, makes me glad I'm a penguin."
Right, last 2.
Want to know when a joke becomes a dad joke? It's a parent.
It's a
Sorry.
brutally. I can't take my dog to the pond anymore. The ducks keep attacking him. That's what I get for buying a purebred dog. That was the one. That was a knockout one.
That was a knockout one. I have a dad joke for you. I'm telling anyone who'll listen, because I do like a dad joke.
Yeah.
So, a woman rings up an insurance company and says, "I need to renew my car policy." The guy on the phone says, "Yeah, absolutely no problem. That'll be 700 quid. Perfect. Payment went through." And he said, "Just before you go, do you have any pets?" And she was like, yeah, actually I have a dog." And she's like, "Okay, do you want to add him to the insurance?" And she said, "No thanks, he can't drive."
I wipes the floor with all my dad jokes.
My wife's like, "Don't tell me a joke again."
Now it's out there. It's out there now.
Baz, as I say, for myself and James, I mean, that was brilliant, Baz. It was really an honour for us, really sincerely, man. Thanks very much for being on our show, and the very best of luck with everything that you have, everything coming up. So, I mean, shout out to Dublin Crust, and shout out to all the lads in the crew that are making this happen. And
These will all be tagged and hashtagged.
So follow Baz Black for all the latest and greatest, and everything that he's doing. Imitated but never replicated, for sure. I mean, and so from us, thanks for being again on our 3rd show, Baz. It was a sincere honour from us, and
Thank you.
all the best.
Thanks a minute.
That was our conversation with very special guest Baz Black. A quote for this episode is one by Brene Brown, who said,
"One day you'll tell the story of how you overcame what you went through, and it'll be someone else's survival guide."
That's our 3rd episode, folks. Hope you really enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until then, folks,
Hoorah!